In this unit, Unit 3, we're going to be looking at plants and animals. And the big idea over on the side, right-hand side of your paper, you need to be turning to page 89 of your Science Fusion book. Hit pause while you do that, so then you can come back and then hit play to begin the instructional video here. Big idea. All living things go through a cycle of growth. Living things have adaptations that help them survive in their environment. So right here you can see the mantis shrimp, and it says, I wonder why. Why is this mantis shrimp these colors? Turn the page to find out. Be thinking about that. Why is the mantis shrimp these colors that are here? Let's see if your idea was correct. Here's why. It says the colorful shell of the mantis shrimp helps it blend in with its surroundings. Blending in helps the mantis shrimp hide from predators and surprise prey. In this unit, you will explore the big idea, the essential question, and the investigations on the inquiry chart. Big idea. All living things go through a cycle of growth. Living things have adaptations that help them survive in their environment. Very first lesson that we're going to be looking at is what are some plant life cycles. Second lesson that we are going to be looking at is what are some animal life cycles. Lesson 3 is an online lab, so we won't be doing that one. Lesson 4, what are structural adaptations? And then the last lesson we're going to be looking at is lesson 6, what are behavioral adaptations? Lesson 1, it says essential question, what are some plant life cycles? If you could pause the video and think about some plant life cycles that you can think of. Okay, lesson 1, engage your brain. Find the answer to the following question in this lesson and record it here. So when you find the answer inside of the lesson, we're going to come back to this part right here and write it in. It says, how is this hummingbird part of the plant's life cycle? Active reading, lesson vocabulary. List the terms as you read about each one. Make notes in the interactive glossary. So when we find our vocabulary words, we're going to come back and write them on the blanks here. We're looking at compare and contrast. Many ideas in this lesson are connected because they explain comparisons and contrasts. How things are alike and different. Active readers stay focused on comparisons and contrasts when they ask themselves, how are these things alike? How are these things different? Page 92, the cycle of a plant's life. Most plants come from seeds, but how? And where do seeds come from? It's all part of the life cycle of a plant. Active reading. As you read these 2 pages, find and underline the definitions of life cycle, germinate, flower, reproduce, and cone. So when you find the definition, we want to underline it. Here we go. Plants go through many stages in their lives. These stages form a cycle or pattern that repeats again and again. The stages an organism, there we go. Boy, that's a hard word. Or living thing goes through during its life is its life cycle. Most plants come from seeds. A seed germinates when it breaks open, a small plant grows out of it. The plant grows into an adult, which forms flowers in some types of plants. A flower is the part of some plants that enables them to reproduce or make more plants similar to themselves. Flowers can be colorful, dull, big, or small. Flowers have male parts and female parts that are involved in reproduction. Go ahead and pause the video and look for the definitions of life cycle, germinates, flower, and reproduce right now. We'll look for cone a little bit later. Okay, as what you should have found is for life cycle, it's the stages an organism or living thing goes through during its life. For germinates, it's a seed that germinates. It breaks open, and small plant grows out of it. A flower, you should have underlined, is the part of some of the plants that enables them to reproduce. Okay, and then for reproduce, you should have put make more plants similar to themselves is what reproduce means. Okay, let's look at the chart up down below here. We'll start with the seed because that's where most things are going to start when you plant them. The seed, inside each seed is a plant in an early stage of its development. The hard outer coverings of the seed protect it. These seeds will grow into large tomato plants. When a seed is watered, it begins to germinate. A seedling is the tiny new plant that comes out of the seed. Then we're looking at an adult plant. The seedling grows into an adult plant. The adult tomato plant makes flowers. In flowering plants, seeds are produced in the flowers. Fruit. The flowers fall off the plant and the plant makes fruit. The fruit holds the seeds. You can see inside here, you can see the seeds of the tomato plant. Here's what it says. It says circle one step in the cycle. Why does the cycle stop if that step is removed? So let's say we removed the fruit here, the tomato. What would happen to the cycle? Why would the cycle stop? Go ahead and write that on the line. Here's what I have for an example. If the plant does not make fruit, it won't have seeds, so the life cycle stops. Without these seeds from the fruit, the life cycle would stop. Okay, last part. Some plants make seeds without flowers. Their seeds form in cones. Cones are the parts of some seed plants where reproduction occurs. Unlike flowers, cones do not develop into fruit. This pine cone has seeds in it that will grow into new pine trees. You can see the seeds from the pine cone down below. For cones, the definition that you should have underlined is cones are the parts of some seed plants where reproduction occurs. Now you should have taken all of these highlighted words, life cycle, germinates, flower, reproduce, and cones, and wrote them in your lesson vocabulary. So go ahead and pause the video and do that. Okay, turn to page 94 and 95, Small Wonders. Big things can come in little packages. Did you know that even the tallest trees started out as small seeds? Active reading. As you read these 2 pages, draw 2 lines under each main idea. So you're going to be looking for the main idea in this paragraph and the main idea in this paragraph over here. Okay, here we go. When you see the main idea, you're going to put 2 lines for the main idea underneath it. Plants that make seeds also make pollen. Pollen is a powder-like material involved in plant reproduction. Pollen happens when pollen is moved from the male plant part to the female plant part. The environment around a plant helps it pollinate. Wind, water, and animals help move pollen from plant to plant. After a plant is pollinated, seeds form in the female parts of the flowers. The part of the flower that surrounds the seeds grow into a fruit. If a flower is not pollinated, it will not form seeds or grow fruit. Go ahead and pause the video and underline the main idea for that paragraph. The main idea for that paragraph is right at the start of pollination. Pollination happens when pollen is moved from the male part plant to the female part plant. That would be our main idea. Okay, let's look at the caption for the picture down below. It says, insects and birds drink a sweet liquid called nectar from flowering plants. As they move from plant to plant, they carry pollen with them. Let's look at the other caption for this one right up here for the dandelion. Many seeds have parts that float on the wind. Wind carries these lightweight dandelion seeds to new ground. I don't know if any of you ever taken a dandelion seed and picked it up and blown on it. You're pretty much just spreading the seeds. Then let's look at the bottom caption down here. This fruit has seeds in it. If the bird eats the fruit, the seeds will pass through its body. The seeds may be left in a new place. This is one way seeds are spread. So another way is a bird eats the fruit and it passes through its body and then it gets planted that way. Okay, last paragraph here, we're going to be looking for the main idea in this one. Seeds come in many shapes and sizes. When seeds are released from a plant, they are often carried to new areas. Water, wind, and animals carry seeds to new ground. When a seed lands in a good place, it grows into a new plant. Go ahead and pause the video and find the main idea for that paragraph. Okay, let's go over the main idea. When seeds are released from a plant, they are often carried to new areas. This sentence right here is our main idea. And it talks about the supporting details. Water, wind, and animals carry these seeds to the new ground. Okay, do the math. If one bee can pollinate 220 plants in 1 hour, estimate how many plants 9 bees can pollinate in the same time. So you would take 9 bees, and remember, 1 bee can pollinate 220. How many could 9 bees do in 1 hour? Go ahead and pause the video and figure out the answer. A little hint for you, this is a multiplication problem or a repeated addition problem. Okay, you should have taken 220 times 9, and then you would have got roughly 2,000 plants. 2,000 plants. So the 2,000 was an estimate. If you got the full answer was 1,980 plants is what 9 bees could have pollinated. Okay, page 96 and 97. More and more spores. Plants with flowers make seeds. Plants with cones make seeds. Do all plants make seeds? Find out. Active reading. As you read this page, draw a circle around a clue word that signals a comparison. Remember, comparison is how two things are alike. Draw a box around a clue word that signals a contrast. So a box around a contrast, a circle around a comparison. Some plants do not make flowers, cones, or seeds. Instead, they reproduce only with spores. Like seeds, spores are reproductive structures that can grow into new plants. Ferns are one type of plant that reproduces using only spores. Ferns have leaves called fronds. Each frond has smaller leaves that branch off from the stem. Okay, let's look at the caption down below. Spores form in small groups of the underside of the fern fronds. Each group contains hundreds of spores. I'm also going to look at this picture's caption over here. Mosses make spores in little capsules at the end of stalks. The capsule keeps the spores dry. While the moss remains damp, when the capsules dry out, they release the spores into the air. These tiny spores float away to make new plants where they land. Last part up here. Moss is another type of plant that reproduces using only spores. Mosses are small, soft plants. Groups of moss often grow together in damp places without much light. Sometimes moss looks like a green blanket covering rocks and trees. This blanket is actually made up of tiny moss plants. Now the two signal words you should have saw was instead would be your contrast, and then like is how they were the same. So you should have put a circle around like and a box around instead. Okay, true or false. Read each statement. Circle T if the statement is true or F if the statement is false. So go ahead and pause the video. Read through number 1 through 5 and circle T or F, true or false. Okay, let's go over the answer. Spores are seeds. You should circle false. Cones release spores. That is also false. Mosses make spores. That is true. Ferns do not make flowers. That is true. Mosses do not make seeds. That is also true. Now make sure you go back and write in spores, and then from our last page, write in pollen and pollination into your vocab. If you have some extra time, you can complete the sum it up, brain check, and apply concepts.